All right, guys, we're now into week 3, and this is session number 1 of week 3. So for power cleans, I'm doing sets of 2, working up to 3 sets of 2 at 80 kilos. So a little bit of story time. For the Friday last week, I did another plyo session because the courts still aren't available. And when I was doing a broad jump, which I've done them heaps of times. If you saw week 1, I was doing max effort ones, I was doing connected ones. But I actually tweaked my lower back, and it was in a very specific spot down in the lower back. So I went and got it treated, and it seems like it was basically like almost like whiplash, but in my lower back. I've just kind of extended too much as I've jumped into it. And that's probably because I've lost my core bracing when it's happened, so all the force has then gone through my back. So coming into this session, I could still feel it a little bit, so I was just really focusing on bracing my core as hard as I could, and continually holding that brace through the movement, because I do tend to I brace at first, and I do tend to lose it a bit throughout the movement, especially in something like a power clean or like a broad jump where it's very explosive. So was making sure that I was getting that in. I did lots of warming up for my back and lots of core activations. And I had absolutely no issues with these power cleans, which was nice. So here you can see they're all looking pretty good. Like I said, no pain. His technique was feeling quite nice. So next week will still be doubles, but we'll go up to 85 and maybe even 90. So recording this, I'm now in line with the weeks. Before I was recording the voiceovers like a week or more after, but I did this on Monday and it is now Thursday, so only a couple days after, which is good. Then we went on to back squats. So last week back squats were sets of 5, and now we are sets of 4. So something I noticed here was I must arch my back a little bit too much and cause a bit of compression in my lower back, because when I got into my normal setup for back squats, it was actually hurting that part of my lower back a little bit. So I just kind of pulled my hips under, braced my core, and got no pain. And I actually felt like my torso was a hell of a lot stronger and more stable as I was squatting. So I'm going to keep doing that and see how that translates in my squat, because if it ends up working out pretty well, then that injury was just a blessing in disguise, really. So like I said, sets of 4, we're up to 80 here. So 70 was on the first set, and then we are at 80. Still keeping the tempo slow-ish. Not super slow like I was doing when I had knee pain, but still not going too fast because I don't want to irritate my knees. So then we went up to 90 kilos. Still looking nice and strong. I was going to see if you could see what I was doing with my hips, but you can't really see it. And then after this 90 kilos, we move on to 100 kilos. So we actually went up 20 kilos from last week, because the 80 last week felt really good. And I did 80 for 2 weeks in a row, just adding in extra sets. And because I jumped down to 4 reps, I was like, fuck it, we're going to go up to 100. And it moved really well. As you can see here, still nice and slowed down. Starting to push it a bit harder on the way up, but I'm still not pushing as hard as I can out of the bottom because of the fact that I don't want it to irritate my knees. So, rep number 3. And then this is my final rep, if I have counted properly just then. Yeah. So then from here we went into RDLs. I've dropped the RDLs down to 4 reps now. I was doing 6s last week and the week before. So now we're going down to 4s as we slowly start to peak and bring the intensity up. So that was 80 kilos. Then next we go 90. Again, these are also feeling really good on my back. This loaded my back more than anything. But again, with the core bracing and the back basically staying still, like I'm not flexing or anything, it's just my hips going back. It felt quite good. So we went up to 90 kilos here. I always love the feeling of RDLs in my hamstrings, and they always make my hamstrings so bloody sore. So 100 kilos here, got a blue and 2 greens on, and then final set of 110. And yeah, had no pain, no issues with my back. Each day it's gotten better. Today it feels the best that it has. Again, speaking now on Thursday, I've actually got my plyo session tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. And then I finished off, actually did these a little bit later in the day. As you can see, I've got my uniform on. Sets of 6 slow single leg calf raises. Decided to switch to single leg because double leg on this machine, I was absolutely stacking up the weight. And didn't want to overload my back, but also just don't want to have to be throwing on so many plates on the machine, so I figured I'd do single leg. So yeah, that is the first session of week 3.